You finally got that check. The invoice cleared. The client paid. But before you could breathe, the car broke down. Rent went up. And somehow, you're back where you started. You did the rituals. You cleansed with salt. You burned the charcoal. So why does money keep slipping away? Because salt attracts. Charcoal clears. But neither can hold wealth in place. You forgot the thread, the red one, the only thing that locks abundance where it belongs. Without it, no matter how much you earn, you'll keep watching it disappear. We talk a lot about attracting money, salt, crystals, intentions, but almost no one talks about how to hold it, because attracting wealth is only half the ritual. The other half is the anchor, and for centuries, that anchor was a thread. Red, sacred, overlooked. You've seen it before, wrapped around wrists, tied to door handles, hung above altars, but when tied with intention, it doesn't just protect, it locks. It locks in your wealth, your growth, your flow. This video isn't just about salt. It's about the string that holds your fortune steady. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll remember the ritual you never knew you needed. Before we begin, just know this isn't a one-time ritual. It's part of a deeper map, a thread inside a thread. So stay with me till the end. And if this speaks to you, don't forget to explore the full playlist. Each video unlocks a different piece of the flow, and if you feel a shift, whisper it back in the comments. Or subscribe, so the next ritual finds you when you're ready. You did everything right. You placed the salt. You felt the shift. Money started to show up, but it didn't stay. You did the salt ritual. You reset your space. You even whispered your intention. And for a moment, things moved. A small wind, a lightness in the air. Something shifted. But then, it all faded again. The mistake isn't what you did. It's what you didn't do after. You see, salt is a cleanser. It pulls in energy. It absorbs like a magnet. But here's the thing about magnets. They attract, but they don't decide where things stay. When energy is opened, especially wealth energy, it needs a place to settle, to land, to lock in. If you don't give it that place, it'll float, it'll scatter, and it'll find its way out. That's why you felt it. Moments of abundance. Gone overnight. Clients change their minds. Payments come, then disappear in repairs. Checks arrive then, rent increases. Because while you invited the energy in, you forgot to tell it where to stay. You forgot to anchor it. You might feel this in real life. A new client signs then ghosts. An unexpected payment comes in then, a bill arrives the next day. Money enters, but never settles. It's not just bad luck. It's energetic leakage. This is where the red string comes in. It's not there to decorate. It's not just a charm. It's a lock, a spiritual anchor, designed to tell energy, this is where you stay. In Feng Shui, salt belongs to the earth element. It stabilizes. It absorbs, but it doesn't bind. The red string, on the other hand, carries the fire element. Fire activates. Fire holds focus. And fire, when tied around earth, creates a magnetic field of presence. So when you tie red string around your salt jar, you're not just wrapping thread, you're weaving intention into a structure that tells wealth energy. You're not just visiting, you belong here. The thread becomes the border, the circle, The container. It says, no more leaks, no more drift, no more fading gains. It transforms your salt from a passive absorber into an active holder of fortune. This isn't superstition. This is structure. Because all energy, especially money, needs a boundary to build momentum. The red string gives it that boundary. I once met a woman who ran a small handmade candle shop from her home. Every time she placed salt at her door, she said orders would pour in, and every time something would break. A refund, a leak, a lost shipment. It's like money comes, she whispered once, but never stays. So I asked her, where's your anchor? She didn't understand. She had the salt. She had the ritual. But she never had a string. Never told the energy where to stay. 1 week later, she tied a single red thread around her salt jar. Said nothing else changed. But for the first time in months, nothing went wrong. Orders came and stayed. So did the calm. All because she remembered to tie it down. The red string doesn't make you rich. It stops you from leaking what's already yours. People who use it properly feel it. The randomness stops. The dips between abundance become smaller. Money doesn't just appear, it remains. You don't just attract, you hold. Attracting wealth is one thing. Holding it is the forgotten art. But here's the thing. Most people misunderstand the red string. They wear it. They display it. But they never activate it. Let's talk about that next. You've seen it everywhere. Wrapped around wrists, tied to door handles, hanging near altars. A thin red string. Silent. Simple. Forgotten. You've seen the red string before. Tied around a wrist, framed in a shadow box, hanging on a doorknob. Maybe someone told you it was for protection or for good luck. Maybe you wore one once and didn't feel anything at all. Here's the mistake. Most people treat it like a symbol, but not like a tool. They treat it like fashion or folklore or a sweet little spiritual souvenir. But the red string isn't magic on its own. It doesn't work because it's red, or sacred, or old. It works when it's used with presence, with direction, with energetic clarity. But what do most people do? They buy it, wear it, post it, and forget it. They think it will protect their energy, but never set an intention. They think it will hold their money in place, but never give it a job. They tie the thread, but never tie it to meaning. So it sits there, pretty, passive, powerless. When the meaning is missing, the energy is empty. You might wear the thread, but the money still leaks. You hang it at your door, but the stress still enters. It becomes decor, not protection. The red string is not a charm. It's a command. In nearly every spiritual tradition, from Kabbalah to Hinduism to Eastern Tao practices, red thread is never worn just because it's pretty. It's placed where energy enters, where boundaries are blurred, where protection is needed most. Why red? Because red activates. Red burns. Red marks a line where energy stops wandering and starts focusing. So when you combine salt, the absorber, with red string, the activator, you're not just decorating a jar. You're telling energy, this is the center, this is where you stay. And because the string holds fire, and salt holds earth, you create a stable container, a grounded vessel charged with direction. That's what makes it powerful. Not the material, not the color, but the intention plus placement plus purpose woven into a ritual. And when the string surrounds your salt, it gives the ritual its backbone. It turns passive placement into active protection. It turns a jar of salt into a vault of ki. There's a woman I once spoke to after a workshop. She had a red string bracelet on her wrist, frayed from time, sun-faded, clearly worn for years. "It's for protection," she said. "My mom tied it on me when I moved into my new apartment." So I asked her, what did she say when she tied it? She paused. Nothing, really. Just that it was good luck. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't doing what she thought it was. She had worn it through 2 job losses, a breakup, and months of financial anxiety. Not because the string failed, but because it was never activated. No intention, no command, no energy transfer. A week later, she messaged me again. I took it off and tied a new one, but this time I spoke to it. I told it what to hold. I can't explain it, but I don't feel like I'm floating anymore. That's the shift. It's not about wearing the string. It's about giving it purpose. With real connection, you feel the shift. People don't just pay, they come back. Money doesn't just arrive, it stabilizes. Not because of luck, but because you finally tied meaning to material. The string doesn't hold the salt, it holds the soul of the ritual. But even when people start using the red string, they often miss one more thing. They tie it, but never tell it what to hold. Let's talk about that next. You tied it tight, but did you tie it with purpose? Or were you just copying what someone said might work? You followed the ritual. 3 loops, right direction, right placement, but your mind was drifting. Your hands were moving, but your energy wasn't there. You didn't whisper a word. You didn't ask for anything. You just tied the string and hoped for the best. And this is the mistake most people never notice. They perform the motion, but forget the meaning, because rituals aren't about repetition. They're about resonance. Every spiritual act needs a signal, a message that tells the energy what to do. Without that message, you're building a doorway, but never inviting anything to step through. You wouldn't write a letter and forget to address it. So why tie a ritual without telling it what to hold? Energy isn't random. It follows direction. And the red string, without a whispered command, is just a thread wrapped in silence. What happens when you tie without intention? You create a ritual that looks right, but feels empty. Your salt absorbs energy, but the string holds no instruction, no direction, no reason to keep anything in place. So energy floats, money leaks. You feel like you're doing everything right, but nothing holds. To activate a ritual, you have to activate yourself. And that begins with one thing: intention. When you tie the red string, you are binding energy, but energy won't stay unless it knows what it's staying for. That's why, before the final knot, you speak. Not a chant, not a mantra, just a word, a clear, whispered word that tells the string what to hold. Security, consistency, clients, flow. One word is enough, if it's alive when you say it. This isn't superstition, it's direction, because energy, like money, doesn't stay where it's not claimed. And the whisper of your intent is what binds the invisible into the physical. In that moment, you're not just tying string, You're giving it a job. You're not just completing a ritual. You're anchoring a command. He told me he'd done everything. Salt by the door. Red string tied around a jar. Right spot. Right method. But he still felt unsettled. Money comes in, he said, but it never feels like it's mine. I asked him, when you tied the string, did you say anything? He shook his head. Number I didn't know I was supposed to. So I told him, try again. But this time, don't tie it in silence. Tell it what to hold. The next day, he messaged me. I didn't say a full sentence, just one word. Rooted. That's what I want to feel with money. Rooted. Not rushing. Not running. And then he said, I don't know what changed, but I feel. Still. Sometimes, one word is enough. When it's true. When it's felt. When it's heard. When people do this, the shift is subtle, but real. Their income steadies. They stop chasing highs and fixes. Things flow smoother and deeper, because now the string isn't just tied, it's tasked. Red string without intention is just red thread. But even with the right intention, one thing still decides whether your wealth stays. Not what you tie, but where you place it. Let's go there next. It's not just what you tie, it's where you place it. Because even the most powerful ritual, placed in the wrong corner, becomes decoration. You did the ritual. You tied the red string. You even whispered your intention. And then, you placed it wherever it fit. Behind a vase, beside a printer, tucked in a drawer with keys and coins. This is the mistake no one talks about. We treat sacred things like leftovers. We place them in dead corners, stagnant zones, dark, forgotten shelves. The energetic equivalent of saying, you stay here, but I won't see you. But energy doesn't work like that, especially not wealth energy. Qi flows toward light, movement, attention. It's alive, it listens, and it gathers where it's welcomed. So when you place your salt plus red string ritual in a space without flow, you block the very thing you were trying to call in. You built a ritual, but gave it no stage. You tied it with intention, but then told it quietly that it wasn't important enough to be seen. When you hide the ritual, you hide its power. The red string can't hold energy if it's sitting in a stagnant zone, and the salt can't absorb wealth flow if it's placed in a corner that's energetically blocked. So even after tying it right, you feel nothing. The money doesn't flow. The energy doesn't respond. And it feels like the ritual failed. Here's the truth. Even the most beautiful ritual can go silent if it's placed in the wrong space. Because in Feng Shui, placement isn't an afterthought. It's the portal. Qi doesn't gather in clutter. It doesn't move toward forgotten shelves or dusty corners. It flows where life flows, where movement, light, and intention intersect. So where should your red-stringed salt go? Place it where wealth energy enters or circulates. The southeast corner your wealth area in Feng Shui, near your front door where opportunity arrives, on your desk where money is made, beside your wallet or cash drawer where abundance gathers. Why? Because these are not just locations, they are messages. When you place the ritual in these spaces, you're saying, this is the kind of flow I'm holding, and energy listens to that. Suddenly, the red string isn't just surrounding salt, it's surrounding decisions, movements, income, presence. You're no longer hiding the ritual. You're letting it stand as a guardian of your wealth. She had a little glass jar, salt inside, wrapped with red string, placed with care, tied with a whispered intention, stability. But she put it on a shelf in the hallway, next to old books, half-used candles, and things she meant to throw out. It looked sacred, she said, but nothing changed. Money came in, then slipped out again. The flow felt broken, always interrupted, until one morning she moved it, placed it on her desk, right beside the folder with pending invoices, right where her hand would rest during calls. She didn't add anything, didn't redo the ritual, but within that week, 3 clients confirmed, a refund cleared, and she said, "The room feels awake. Sometimes the ritual doesn't need more energy, just a better seat at the table." People often say they don't see the difference, but they feel it. The room feels fuller. Money moves with fewer disruptions. There's less noise, more steadiness. Because when energy is invited and welcomed and told exactly where to stay, it listens. Location turns the ritual into a guardian. So what does it take to truly lock wealth in place? Not a longer ritual, just 3 things, done right. Let's close with those. It's just a thread, just some salt, but when done with intention, it holds more than you think. It holds wealth, still, steady, safe. By now, you've probably tried a lot. Different rituals, different placements, different combinations. You burned sage, placed coins, moved furniture, read articles, watched videos, but somehow the money still slips. That's the mistake no one warns you about, thinking that more equals better. More salt, more symbols, more steps. It sounds spiritual. It feels intentional. But often, it just creates noise. The truth is, every time you start another ritual, without anchoring the last, you scatter the signal. And energy, especially wealth energy, needs one thing more than anything else: clarity. Not clutter, not complexity. Clarity. The kind that says, this is what I want, and this is where it belongs. Because money doesn't flow toward confusion. It flows toward confidence. And confidence comes from knowing you've already said enough and meant it. When you stack ritual after ritual, without anchoring any of them, you confuse the flow. The energy becomes scattered, like asking the universe 10 things in 10 different voices. And wealth, it doesn't know where to land. So, what actually holds wealth in place? Not another ritual, not a longer list, not louder affirmations. Underscore. It's the opposite. It's the moment you stop piling on and start aligning. Salt, to absorb and stabilize. Red string, to bind and direct. And your word, to activate the thread. That's all. One word. 3 loops. A space that matters. That's the real ritual. Because when you tie the red string, with presence, with rhythm, with clarity, you're not just holding salt. You're holding space for wealth to stay. And that space doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be chosen. Because when the universe sees that you've chosen, not rushed, not begged, but chosen, it sends what belongs to you. And this time, it stays. What shows up isn't just more money. It's better money. Money that sticks. Clients who return. Bills that get paid before they arrive. Because the energy doesn't just open, it holds. Tie it once, anchor it forever. So if you're wondering what it really takes to hold wealth in place, it's not more rituals. Just 3 things done right. Let's lock them in now. 1. Tie with intention. Don't just wrap a string. Whisper one word. The word that holds your wealth desire. Say it softly. Let the string hear it. Let the salt absorb it. 2. Tie with rhythm. Move slowly, clockwise. 3 loops. Not in a rush. Let your energy settle with every turn. This is not about speed. It's about signal. 3. Tie in the right place. Put it where your wealth lives. Near the front door. In the southeast corner. On your desk. Don't hide it. Let it guard the flow. Do these 3, and your salt won't just sit. It will stay, with wealth tied to it. So maybe you've tied the red string before. Or maybe you've never tried at all. But now, you know, it's not just thread. It's not just tradition. It's a reminder that wealth doesn't just show up. It stays when you ask it to. Clearly, softly, with intention. So, what are you tying into your life right now? And where are you placing it? If this ritual stirred something in you, leave your word in the comments. Let the string begin there. And if you're ready to keep unlocking, don't stop here. There's more in the playlist. More ways to work with salt. More ways to hold what wants to come. And if you want the next ritual to find you, just whisper back. Click subscribe.